The other side of procrastination is patience. Well, hello there, and welcome to my new living space and my new studio here in Tatsumi. Yeah, nice to be here. Yeah, well, if I practiced that drum a little bit more, I maybe would have banged out a little bit better rhythm without that little problem that I encountered in the middle. But yeah, you can only procrastinate so long, and the other side of procrastination is patience. And you've heard this aphorism, patience is a virtue. And yes, patience is a good thing, and it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, it's all the time, and you can apply patience to anything you do in the specifics that you do and in an overall philosophy of life. Patience is something that I want to encourage you to think about and consider and nurture in your life. It's obvious that if we're impatient, if we're in a rush, we're going to be anxious, we're going to be more prone to accidents and injuries. Obviously, like on the road, if we're impatient, there's more of a chance that we're going to get involved in an accident, and there's more of a chance also that we're going to be impolite if we're impatient. And so, yeah, patience is a virtue in many, many ways. And some more specific examples of patience might apply to a sport like figure skating, where on a jump takeoff, for example, we don't want to be in too much of a rush to jump before we're, in the right, before the jump progresses in time and space properly, so we're in the right position to get that last thrust up into the air. We don't want to be in too much of a rush to turn on the takeoff of a jump. We don't want to over-rotate the takeoff, which will lead to an under-rotated landing. So patience, patience, patience. Yeah, okay, there is the downside of patience. Too much patience. Yes, there is such a thing as too much of this virtue, which manifests itself in perfectionism, which is a surfeit of patience, which is just a bit too much patience, which is just a way of kind of justifying not seizing the day, not seizing an opportunity, not reaching outside of our comfort zone, not exposing ourselves to a little bit of a risk in either physically or mentally. So yeah, I know that I'm a little bit guilty of being too much of a perfectionist. It's a tendency of mine. And perfectionism sounds like it's a really good thing, right? We want to strive toward in the direction of perfection. We also want to realize that we're never going to get there. And so, like for example, in my process now of trying to get my double axel back into my repertoire, I haven't performed a double axel now in almost a year. Yeah, and because I was Well, it was just a real struggle through the COVID interruptions to try to regain my strength, my skills, and I was, as I mentioned before, a little bit impatient and pushed myself a little too hard and injured myself, not through an accident, but through excessive, repetitive uh, efforts, trying the jump and failing and thinking, oh, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I just want to try again and again and again. Well, eventually, too much uh, strain on my joints caused me to have some knee problems, and I've had various different problems. If I hadn't built my skills and strength back slowly and gradually, I'd probably be farther ahead than I would have been now. I know that patience is a virtue, but knowledge and the application of knowledge is not the same thing. And the application of knowledge, of course, requires judgment calls. So, like right now, I'm at the point where I just have very, very minor pains and injuries, many of them, but they're all really quite minor on the big scheme of things. Yeah, I'm building my strength. I'm now getting my technique back. I'm jumping higher. So I'm kind of almost ready to add that extra rotation to the single axle and do the double. And hopefully I can do that without incurring any setbacks, injuries that would involve a setback. So yeah, just trying to be patient there to avoid pain and injuries. Patience applies to in sports, in acquiring any skill. We don't want to get into bad habits, because breaking bad habits is really, really difficult. Unlearning is much more difficult than learning. So, I see many skaters in the learning process. I observe what's going on when I'm on the ice rink, and I see so many skaters attempting jumps that they don't have the skating skills for, and they just want to do the jump. It's, you know, I get it. You just want to do it. I know I can do it. You got this inner drive, and you got this attitude of not wanting to be a failure. But build your skating skills first. In the case of an axle, I've done many videos on axle, and I've showed several drills and different ways that you can build the skills, the ingredients that are all going to come together and make that axle not only easier to do, so that you're not going through some kind of kinesthetic process of having a goal in mind and just trying to get there, but developing an inefficient, or let's say not ideal method in that process. Building the skills and is going to make the jump easier in the long run, and better in the long run, more beautiful in the long run, more consistent in the long run. So yeah, having the patience to wait until you're nice and ready, and yet being ready to seize the day. When things are lined up well enough that you don't want to now delay the process. You want to go for it. Go for it. Finding that balance between patience and procrastination is so important in building your skills for, whatever sport or activity you want to strive in the direction of mastery of. Time is limited. Time, you could say, is our most valuable asset because it's irretrievable. We have, in a sense, a certain amount of time that we're going to be around on the planet, and it's not something that you can get back. You know, it's like naivety. Once you lose it, you can't get it back. Virginity, life itself, certain things you can't get back. Well, maybe time is money, so that if you lose a big chunk of money, maybe you then have to use that resource of yours, your time and your energy, to get it back. But really, time, I look at as the most valuable asset. And it's not like, I don't really believe that you age, that time is what ages you. It's not, time itself is not what ages you, it's what you do in the time that ages you. So, if you don't take care of yourself, or if you're living a life that's full of anxiety and stress, you're actually shortening your life. So being patient, sort of more in a more philosophical way, is going to be very, very good for your life as a whole. Yeah, we don't want to be impatient or under stress. We want to be in a relaxed state. We want to find a flow state. I've heard people describe a flow state, and I totally understand this. Anytime you find yourself rushing and hurrying, like let's say to get someplace, or I've come to question whether, like after the fact, whether those instances were necessary. And often I look back and I think, okay, well, I rushed, but in the end, it really wasn't necessary, And okay, part of it is to allow time for contingencies, because we don't know, if we're trying to get to an appointment, what kind of events are going to come about that will slow us down, heavy traffic, for example. So we do want to allow for those sorts of things in our lives. And when we allow for contingencies in a sort of in a natural way, then we're going to be less inclined to have to hurry. And I could go on and on and on about patience, but I mostly just wanted to introduce the topic and show a few instances of how it applies. And I really ultimately want to get you, the viewer, and the athlete perhaps, to consider how patience in your life can benefit you. Why? Do you understand? Can you embrace the idea that patience is a virtue? That patience does have an upside, and that patience is everywhere and all the time, and it applies in so many things we do. We don't want to be a stumble bum. We don't want to trip over things. We don't want to cut ourselves. We don't want to get in little accidents. When I'm lacing up my skates, I like to do it as perfectly as I can without, missing a hook and having to go back and this and that. So, I try that. That's part of my warm up for the sport. I want to make sure I get to the rink in plenty of time, that I'm there, for the beginning of a session, or and so that I never find a situation where I'm in a rush. I learned this more from golf. Yeah, you don't have to be at the get on the ice right at the beginning of a session, but let's say you have a tee time at the golf course. You can't be late for it, right? So you got to be there right ready to go. Well, you don't want to get there and you got many things you do. You got to put your tees and your ball markers in your pocket, the right pocket, and maybe you want to go hit a few balls in the driving range and go putt a little bit and go sign up and this and that and get ready and do a few swings, whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to do to get ready. But you don't want to have any rushing in that process. And this applies to whatever we're going to get ready for. We want to be patient. We don't want to rush. We want to find a natural flow, and we want to have a good sense of time to be at our best, to perform well, and to live with grace. So, all the best to you with your virtue that is patience.
Did you know that you can invite me to come to your club to offer one of my seminars? I tailor my seminars to the level of ability of your skaters, and I can even do seminars for groups of skaters of many different levels at the same time. I have a lot of experience offering my very inspiring seminars, and I share my knowledge and passion of figure skating or even of hockey. I've given seminars for hockey clubs to help them develop their skating skills. So I let you know on the Moves News that I post on Sundays where I'm going to be. And so if I'm going to be near your area, then you can get in touch with me and organize to invite me to your club. And it would be a great pleasure for me and a great pleasure for your skaters and coaches as well. So I hope I can come and see you in person. Yeah, so I can see you and not just you see me through a screen. Okay, see you in the near future. Bye.